Hey everyone, it's Lynnea, and today I have a nice airy spring card for you. I'm going to be using a stamp set from LDRS Creative that was released last spring. This is the Boardwalk Mice Pocket Pal stamp set. Can you believe that as I was looking through my stash of stamps to create with today, I realized that I haven't used this stamp set, and that seems like some kind of high crime to me. So I pulled this out and I'm going to color this up. I wanted to make a springtime card, so I wanted to keep it light and airy. I'm going to be using some pastel color markers as well as white as my neutral. White and grays are some of my favorite colors for neutral coloring, so I'm going to go with the white just because it feels more spring to me. I'm using my alcohol markers, but you can color these images with any medium that you like to use. If you like to use pencils or watercolors, whatever you have on hand. I'm coming in with my white color to start with. I used a C0 marker. I grabbed my C2, but I didn't think that I needed it. I just kind of colored over where I wanted there to be some depth or some shadows 2 or 3 times with that C0. For my pink, I'm using R02 and R00. This is a nice pale, peachy, pastel pink color combination. It's one that I have recently started using, and I really am loving it for springtime colors. For the little mice, I'm only using W0. They are so tiny that they really don't require a lot of shading. Then I'm using some of that R00 for their cheeks. I'm going to bring in some other colors here. I'm using yellow, Y13, and Y11 for my yellow combination. Again, just keeping it light. I have a kind of blue-violet color there. I used BV02 and B63 for that color combination. And then I am still bringing in that C0 for my whites and the R02 and R00 throughout the buildings and the little Ferris wheel there. I wanted everything to tie together, so I'm using the same colors that I used on the balloon on the buildings. For the windowsills and such, that's when I'm going to bring in that C2 marker just to kind of darken that up and give it another color without bringing in another color, if that makes sense. I'm just using a darker shade of my gray. I'm just going to finish coloring this up here. It's very easy to color. The images are small. I love coloring images like this because I'm not really good at coloring. I just like to add a little bit of shading and then blend it out, so these images are perfect. Now I'm going to be using the Boardwalk Mice Pocket Pals coordinating dies. I'm going to grab the one for the little buildings there and the hot air balloon. I'll tape them down with some temporary adhesive and cut those out with my die cutting machine. I have a piece of A2 sized bright white cardstock. I'm just going to temporarily adhere that onto my work surface. I'm going to be doing some masking and ink blending to create a quick backdrop for this little scene. So I want to mask off because I want to have ink blending masked off at the bottom of where I'm going to have my little scene. So at first I put my tape up too high, and then I realized that I need to turn it down because I want to mask off below, not above where I want my images to go. Now I have here Pistachios Aplenty ink, and this is the ink that I thought that I wanted. I grabbed my blender brush and I started blending, and I realized that I had just made a card a little while ago with key lime pie hybrid ink, and I clearly did not clean off my blending brush, so that was an oversight on my part. But in the end, I think that I'm going to label this as a happy accident because I really like the brighter green of the key lime pie that I'm getting from left over on the blending brush. I think I prefer that over the kind of pastel minty color from the Pistachios Aplenty, so I'm just going to say that I blended with key lime pie hybrid ink. I masked off the full bottom portion of my card because I wanted to add a little bit of texture. And my favorite way to add texture to a card is with some ink flicks. So I have some black watercolor here, and I'm just going to flick that on, keeping the concentration of watercolor down towards the bottom and kind of fading out towards the top, just like I did with my ink blending. I'm going to remove that tape, and I'm going to heat set this just so that I can be sure that watercolor isn't going to smudge. Now I'm going to kind of just lay out my card in my stamping platform, and I'm going to choose a sentiment, and I will center that up beneath my ink blended background, and I'll use Raven Hybrid ink to stamp that. I popped up the hot air balloon and those buildings with some foam tape, and that completes my card. Thank you guys for watching. The LDRS creative products that I used to create this card are listed and linked below in the video description, and I will see you soon. Bye!